Welcome to the Ben Mulroney Show. It is Wednesday, October 1st. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of hump day with us. We appreciate it. You know, we are living in a time of, I think, renewed pride in our military and what they have achieved and what we want them to achieve in the future. A lot of credit must go to Mark Carney for putting our money where his mouth is and committing to far higher spending on the military than we have in the past few decades. And I'm quite proud of that decision by this government, and I'll stand by that. That being said, the experience of the Canadian military versus our American analogs, wildly different. And there is a fear in the United States that Donald Trump is bringing his politics into the military. What does that mean, right? What does it mean to bring politics into the military? Well, let's listen to Pete Hegseth, who is the head of the Department of Defense. Let's listen to Pete Hegseth in terms of the perspective that the renewed and new perspective that this Trump administration is bringing to bear on the military.
It's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon and leading commands around the country and the world. It's a bad look. It is bad, and it's not who we are. So whether you're an airborne ranger or a chairborne ranger, a brand new private or a four-star general, you need to meet the height and weight standards and pass your PT test. But today, at my direction, every member of the Joint Force at every rank is required to take a PT test twice a year, as well as meet height and weight requirements twice a year, every year of service.
So PT, physical fitness tests. And one of the changes is they are resetting these physical standards. They announced gender-neutral benchmarks for physical fitness. In other words, they're not going to have one set of benchmarks for men and one set of benchmarks for women. Everyone has to pass the same test. Look, is there an argument for it? Sure. Is this going to eliminate certain women from positions of active duty? Absolutely. Is that the right thing to do? I don't know. But that's their perspective, and they are pursuing that quite doggedly. Senior officers who disagree with this vision that we just heard Pete Hegseth lay out have been told that they should do the honorable thing if they disagree and resign. It's our way or the highway. And look, again, like I said, this is the way this administration wants to run their military. You can agree with it or you can disagree with it. And it is what it is. However, this is where things took a turn. They're going to end what they call woke policies. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth declared that the military will no longer promote leaders based on race, gender, or as they call them, historic firsts, but on performance and standards. Let's listen to the Defense Secretary in his own words.
No more identity months, DEI offices, dudes in dresses. No more climate change worship. No more division, distraction, or gender delusions. No more debris. As I've said before, and will say again, we are done with that.
Yeah, look, that rubs me the wrong way, obviously. Hearing that cavalier language over things that I think deserve a little more respect and a little more nuance, that rubs me the wrong way. There is a part of me where the battle in my head, there is a part of me that says the military is the military a breed apart? Is it a group that should not be affected by the things that we as the civilian population debate and take into consideration? Should it be a fighting force, full stop? And if that's the case, maybe there is an argument for what this guy is saying, albeit really coarsely and crassly. I don't know. And again, not my military, not really my place to take a really firm stance. I'm looking at it almost academically, intellectually, because we have our own debates here. Now, they are changing some discipline issues here. They've pledged to this, and this is weird. They're pledging to roll back some protections against hazing and bullying, saying that leaders need freedom to enforce discipline without being second-guessed. So essentially, they want to go back. They want to go back to the code red. They want to go back to the code red.
Did you order the code red?
I did the job.
Did you order the code red?
You're goddamn right I did.
Yeah, you'll remember from A Few Good Men that was central to that incredible, phenomenal movie. So let's now turn our attention to Canada's military, because the Canadian Armed Forces, we've already surpassed our 2024-2025 recruitment goal. We've enrolled 6,706 recruits. We beat our target of 6,496 recruits. However, the main issue in the Canadian Armed Forces is retention. Now, why is it that we are bringing people in and then we're losing them to attrition? What's the and there's no right answer. There's no firm answer. You can't really put your thumb on it, your finger on it. It could be bureaucratic issues. It could be DEI. It could be identity. We don't know what it could be. They show up and they don't feel like they can do the job that they signed up to do. And we know that there's work being done to give our men and women in uniform the tools that they need to do their job, but we are not there and won't be there for a while. So in the interim, what happens to these people who want to be soldiers and they can't be soldiers in the way that they thought they could be? So that's sort of where we are. Now, is anybody surprised that we are losing these soldiers? I'm not, because as I just explained to you, we don't have a fighting force yet. We don't have the tools to allow these soldiers to be the soldiers that they want to be. You know, what's the line in the Army? Be all you can be. That's certainly not the motto in Canada yet. I do believe that Mark Carney has an ambitious plan to get us there, but that takes time. Absolutely. Do we have a problem? Listen, do we have a problem with overly political, an overly woke perspective on too many things in this country? I think we do. I do think that that's the case in this country. I think we I don't know. We want to show everybody how much better we are than anybody else, and we do so by twisting ourselves into pretzels to show just how welcoming and how open we are. And I'm not the only one who thinks so. This is a Harvard professor who spoke in committee on Parliament Hill just a few weeks ago.
There's a ripe opportunity for Canada to poach American scientists, and even as a professor at Harvard, I would like to say, poach us. There is the situation in the United States is threatened. The only disadvantage that Canada has is that there is a reputation for being woker than the United States, and for there being possibly onerous requirements on the range of opinions expressed, the racial and gender preferences for example, the Canada chairs. So I guess I would urge Canada not to squander the opportunity by imposing distortions of science coming from the other direction.
Look, the Aristotle Foundation reviewed 489 academic job postings across Canada in a recent report, and they found that 98% of those listings included conditions that directly or indirectly discriminated against candidates. 98% of them. And you'll remember the Dalhousie position that we talked about earlier this week that said every application encourages Indigenous people of Black or African descent, disability, women, 2S, LGBTQIA, anybody diverse. Preferences will be given in hiring processes to candidates who self-identify as members of one or more of the equity-deserving groups listed above. In my humble opinion, in an effort to be inclusive, we are being exclusive. We are denying opportunity to the people in the most competitive environment we've ever been in before, at a time where Canada needs to marshal our resources and build teams of the best of the best. We are still choosing performativeness over performance. And that has to change. Until that changes, no, we don't have time for this, but it starts at the top, and unless we change that, I don't know what's going to happen. Thanks so much for watching the show. Now, if you enjoyed what you saw, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode of The Ben Mulroney Show.